This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
75 years ago today, troops stormed the beaches of Normandy in the D-Day invasion. It was the beginning of the end to World War II. This morning, we hear from a Hoosier veteran who was there.
Plus, a string of arrests and cell phone robberies targeting several central Indiana phone stores. What we know about the suspects and why police say more arrests are coming.
And grab your running shoes. It's time to start training for the Monumental Marathon this fall. The first race happening tonight that could make downtown very busy for the evening commute coming up. Thanks for joining us here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin, meteorologist Todd Glassen joining us now. Todd, we're hoping you have some news about some sunshine today.
I don't know if we'll have a ton of sunshine today, but at least it's going to be dry and still warm and muggy.
We will settle for that.
You know, yesterday we had a lot of rain.
Yeah,
There's still some flash flood warnings down across southern portions of central Indiana. So we'll start you off with some visibility issues that we do have this morning. Some patchy fog has settled into the Muncie area, and then as you work your way down towards Columbus and into the Greensburg area, not too much of an issue here in downtown Indianapolis as of right now. But here's the most important thing. Storm Team 6 radar is nice and quiet for you. So we get a nice break from the rainfall. That front has pushed to the south. We had all those severe storms yesterday with those tropical-like rains. Yesterday we talked about how there was so much humidity in the atmosphere. And we were just going to wring all that out in the form of heavy rain, and that's exactly what has happened. But most of that shower activity is down to the south. Now, can I completely rule out the chance of a shower today? No, but I think it's mainly in southern locations as you get a little closer to the front that we run the best chance of seeing that shower. Temperatures this morning are in the 60s. It's still very, very muggy out there. Highs once again today going back up into the low to mid 80s with mostly cloudy skies. And again, just the chance of a stray storm. Elena.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Not too much happening on the roadways right now coming in from this northeast side. Heading southbound on I-69 from Huntington Avenue down to I-465 should only take you about 5 minutes. So no backups or delays out there on the roadways just yet. Let's hope it stays that way for your morning drive. Let's take a look at this area on our live in-dot traffic cameras now. Here's a look at I-69 at 106th Street. You can see right now everything's moving along just fine. So as you're making your way, should be a breeze.
Elena, thank you. Today marks 75 years since the D-Day invasion in France. The invasion by the Allies that started the end of World War II and the Nazi regime. While you were sleeping, a long day of ceremonies got underway at Omaha Beach.
And here is a live look in France right now. The 75th commemoration ceremony is about to get underway with President Trump and the First Lady in attendance, along with the British royal family and other world leaders. As we remember the heroic actions by the Allies 75 years ago today, only less than 500,000 of those who served in World War II are still living.
Our Aaron Lish was lucky enough to sit down with one of those service members. She's live this morning as he recounts his story from 1944. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. So we are here at the Veterans Wall at Arsenal Tech, and this is where one Indianapolis native went to school. He then enlisted in World War II in the Air Force, and to this day, he will not forget the memories on the shores of Normandy.
Well, it was a very emotional experience.
At only 19 years old, Bob Pettigo was in the 453rd Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force. On June 5th, 1944, Pettigo was briefed with his squadron about the next morning.
He did not say what it was, but we surmised, and we were right.
About 2 in the morning, Pettigo was about to head over to the beaches of Normandy. This was D-Day.
We went inland and bombed a big German encampment.
He had a bird's eye view, and he'll never forget the look of the channel.
The channel was so full of shipping that it looked like you could walk across the channel stepping from boat like stepping stones.
More than 5,000 ships and 13,000 planes supported the invasion. It's estimated 10,000 Allied troops were killed, wounded, or missing in action.
That was the main thing. I could see them coming ashore, you know, being shot. Couldn't help have feelings for them, you know.
Pettigo knew they were changing the path of the war as the Allies stormed the shores of Normandy by air, land, and sea.
We knew what a big job we were tackling and how much area we were out to free. And we sure did.
And as we know, And as we know, the Germans did surrender that next year. And something pretty interesting, Pedigo's briefing commander was Jimmy Stewart, the actor from It's a Wonderful Life and actually Vertigo. So that is pretty neat. They became really good friends. And here's the wall of all the different names of the veterans that have served and that were graduates of Arsenal Tech. His name is right, let's see. It's one of these around here. It's hard to see because there's so many of them on this list. He is about to turn 96 years old, and at this point, he has 4 great-great-grandchildren. We will have more from Pedigo in the next half hour about his time at D-Day, but for now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Erin, thank you. New this morning, Metro Police are investigating a robbery that sent a man to the hospital with a gunshot wound overnight. This happened along Udall Street near MLK Street just before 2 this morning. Police say a man was heading to check on his friend who lives in a car when the suspects approached and tried to rob both men. The friend was shot in the leg but is expected to be okay. Police believe the suspects took off with a backpack that had a phone and ID inside.
Cell phone stores across central Indiana say they will be ramping up security after a series of robberies that led to the arrest of 24 people. A Call 6 investigation uncovered the arrest details yesterday. Police say 24 people are facing 42 different criminal charges, some misdemeanors, but most felony charges. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in phones were stolen in robberies at stores like AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, Metro PCS, and T-Mobile. Many of those who are under arrest are under 25 years old and some are juveniles. Police say more arrests could be coming, especially for those who are buying the stolen phones.
A warning for anyone with a detached garage after several were broken into this week on the Near East Side. At least 5 detached garages were broken into, and in at least 2 of those cases, the crooks pulled off siding and broke in through the wall. It happened 3 times in 2 days to Francisco Gonzalez's garage. RTV6 met up with him last night as he was making those repairs once again.
The first one is by this side over here, and you see my bed in the corner. And this one is by the other side, in the middle, my neighbor garage and my garage.
Between the repairs, stolen property, and missed work, this father of 4 has lost thousands of dollars because of the break-ins. He's hoping to see more police patrols in his neighborhood as a result.
This morning, a man is behind bars after being arrested for a deadly shooting outside of a North Side restaurant. The shooting happened outside of Drake's on 82nd Street, not far from the Fashion Mall, late Tuesday night. Later, police arrested 25-year-old Jean Yongjibe for his alleged involvement in the shooting. So far, a motive has not been released in the case. Bail has been set at this time, and a court date has yet to be scheduled.
I saw where you could email you, and then you contacted me within 30 minutes, and then by noon you were here. Heavens, yes. I was really excited for you to come.
And our TV6 viewers saying thank you after our team got to work helping get a fence fixed along her property. Residents reached out about the fence at Stony Brook Apartments on the east side. Marsha Tate says children were running through the broken fence and wandering into her yard, jumping on her trampoline. She was worried about their safety and her property rights. Our TV6's Derek Thomas got to work, and Stony Brook is now fixing that fence. If you have a problem and need help getting results, reach out to us here at RTV6 by sending us an email at workingforyou@rtv6.com. It's been just about a month now since this rainy race day. Thousands of runners putting in 13.1 miles for the 500 Festival Mini Marathon.
But now it's time to start thinking about the city's next big race, the Monumental Marathon this fall. Hundreds of people will start training tonight with the Monumental Mile. The 5,280-foot race starts at 12th and Meridian and ends at Monument Circle. The race gets underway at 6:30 tonight, so if you're leaving work around that time, avoid Meridian Street and the Circle and watch out for all of those runners. And Todd, what will the weather be like later tonight for those runners?
You know, it'll be warm and muggy, but it should be dry, which is going to be good news. So with the mugginess around and the warmth, you'll work up a sweat pretty quickly, but at least it's only a mile. You can do it. All right, outside right now, we're dealing with some visibility visibility issues, especially as you work your way off here to the eastern side of the state. Visibility's come up a little bit in Muncie, but it's really these darker shades of gray near Greensburg and then just to the east of Muncie where the visibility is a lot lower. But this does entail Interstate 74 as you work your way through Shelby County and eventually down towards the Greensburg area. Keep that in mind if it's in your travel plans here this morning. But at least we are dry. We just have mostly cloudy skies. Most of the rainfall is down to our south now with just a few spotty showers here and there. As far as high temperatures go today, we'll be back up into the 80s. Still a lot of humidity around. So even though that front went through yesterday evening, it didn't knock the temperatures or the humidity down. In fact, the rainfall probably just added more humidity to the air, with temperatures today getting as warm as 84 in Columbus, about 81 in Noblesville. As far as rain chances go, today they're very, very small. Tomorrow they're small as well, but then we ramp them up as we head into the weekend. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Still ahead, an Ohio doctor now facing hundreds of years behind bars, charged with the death of patients who overdosed. How the families of his patients feel about the arrest.
Plus, tense moments in court when a man charged with the suspect accused of killing his mother. What happened after he jumped over the courtroom rail? Next.
Weekdays at 9 on RTV6.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 5:13. Here's a look at I-70 at the North Split. You can see everything's moving along just fine. Looks like a little bit of fog is hitting into our area right now, so just be sure to use that extra caution if you're impacted by it.
Elena, thank you. An Ohio doctor has pleaded not guilty to murder after being accused of overdosing patients with pain meds.
Prosecutors argue he intended to kill 25 of his patients by overdoses. Dr. William Husel turned himself in to police on Wednesday after the hospital where he worked asked officials to open an investigation. Husel's attorney argues he was just trying to ease his patients' pain, many of who were in the ICU. As a result of the investigation, the hospital where he worked has changed their pharmacy policies.
My mom was one of the first, so had they had something in place at that time, the other family members may not had to have had this tragedy in their lives.
You can hear more from the victims' families coming up on Good Morning America. Dr. Husel is facing 15 years in prison for each of the 25 murder charges he is facing.
New video shows the moment chaos erupted inside a Michigan courtroom, a son lunging at the man accused of killing his mother. The suspect, Jamie Thomas Flowers, was in court for an initial hearing about the various murder charges he was facing. Prosecutors argued he shot and killed his wife inside their home last month. Before the hearing started, that is when the son of his victim tried to attack the suspect, who is his stepfather. Police swarmed the young man and escorted him out in handcuffs. The court hearing was then canceled.
Drug company Pfizer is facing new questions about reports it dropped efforts to study a drug that could reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. The Washington Post published the report that shows thousands of insurance claims found the drug Enbrel, which is used for arthritis, can actually reduce the risk of Alzheimer's by 64%. The report then goes on to say that verifying that data would have years, thousands of patients, and millions of dollars. Pfizer instead dropped the investigation.
Walmart employees are ditching the iconic blue vests as the company looks to design new environmentally friendly options. Here is a look at those new designs. This gray version is made from recycled bottles. The modern design also has bigger pockets. Since the iconic blue color is no longer, it will have neon trim and visible logos so shoppers can still spot employees.
Now to some weather video that looks like it could be straight out of the Wild West. This did actually happen in Texas.
A major dust storm hit the Lubbock area last night. The National Weather Service said there were reports of zero visibility on Interstate 27 just north of the city. Wind gusts reached upwards of 60 miles per hour as the dust rolled through. Well, that is certainly something we will never see here in central Indiana, Todd.
I don't know if I'd be driving into that if I saw that coming, right? Oh, my goodness. We had some visibility issues, not with dust here this morning, but a little bit of patchy fog. But the good news is Storm Team 6 radar is completely quiet now across central Indiana. But look at some of these rainfall totals from yesterday. 2 to 4 inches of rain fell in the Bedford area and then over towards Seymour as you work your way towards the Medora area and down towards Mitchell. And that's why we did have a flash flood warning that went in effect until 5 o'clock this morning. That's now been replaced by just a general flood warning. But if you're traveling along US 50 or even Interstate 65, 405 as you work your way south of Seymour. Just be aware that there still could be some standing water out there from all those storms that we had yesterday. A lot of heavy rain in and around the metro area as well, with reports of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and some hail. But that's all a thing of the past. Your morning commute, that will be an easy one here, weather-wise, at least across central Indiana, as we are going to be dealing with just mostly cloudy skies. It's warm, it's muggy. I woke up this morning and there was condensation all over my windows. Good indication that there's a lot of moisture still present in the atmosphere on the outside where that moisture was building up. So if your car is outside, it's going to have basically the same thing. But most of the rain is down to our south, but you can kind of see where the front is with these spotty showers here and there. And with that front in the vicinity as we go throughout the day today, we won't be able to completely rule out the chance of a quick passing shower in southern locations, but almost 98% of us stay completely dry here throughout the day today, with just skies that'll be mostly cloudy. And here is that spot shower chance as we get into the 4 or 5 o'clock hour, the peak heating of the day. Nothing severe today. It's just a quick passing downpour. If you see one at all, again, the further north you are, that likelihood of seeing that shower gets smaller and smaller. And then as we work our way into the evening hours, we are going to be in decent shape as well. 66 degrees right now. That's the current temperature. The wind is calm, but look at that humidity, 96%. The dew point's in the mid-60s. So when the actual temperature and the dew point are close to each other, that's when we're dealing with the patchy fog that we do have out there. Temperatures are in the 60s right now as we work our way throughout the day today. It is warm. It is muggy all across the area, as temperatures will eventually be up to 78 degrees by the noon hour. And then temperatures will be into the low 80s as we head into the 5 o'clock hour. So it's warm. It's muggy. Just not the brightest day, but we will thin the clouds out at times throughout the day today. For tomorrow, it's very similar to today, partly to mostly cloudy, a stray shower chance, but not a washout, with temperatures that will be in the low 80s. Looking ahead to the weekend as we get into Saturday and Sunday, storm chances return. Don't cancel plans yet, but just know you'll have to alter them a little bit as some of these storms develop throughout the day. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-70 just west of FedEx. So if you're making your way to the airport to catch a flight this morning, this is what you'll see. You can see everything's moving along just fine, so no fear of any delays to the airport today. Let's take a look at the map. If you're coming in from this southeast side, heading northbound on I-74 from Acton Road up to I-465, it should only take you about 5 minutes. So everything's moving along just fine. So let's hope it stays that way for your morning drive today. One last look at the roads over on the east side this time. I-465 at I-70 looks a little foggy over there. You can see that fog in that lamp, the street lamp up there, but everything's moving along. Just be sure to slow down if you are impacted by any of that light fog this morning.
Elena, thank you. Game 3 goes to the north. The Toronto Raptors now up 2-1 in the NBA Finals.
It was a team effort from the Raptors and injuries from the Warriors that sealed this one. Despite one of Steph Curry's best playoff games ever with 47 points, the Raptors grabbed the win 123-109. While the Warriors are down a game in the series, Draymond Green is still confident.
We just got to continue to battle and win the next game, go back to Toronto, win Game 5, come back to Oracle, win Game 6, and then celebrate. Fun times ahead.
Well, Game 4 of the finals is Friday night in Oakland. You can watch it right here on RTV6 at 9 p.m.
Still ahead, caught like some deer in headlights. Although these deer were just surprised by a camera flash, how the animals got inside this Decatur retirement home, coming up in 15 minutes.
Plus, a new honor for the inspirational life Tyler Trent led. The way his legacy and fight for cancer research will be honored this summer, coming up after the break.
Slices. Done a good job raising you.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 5:24. Here's a look at I-465 at Michigan Road up on the north side. You can see traffic's picking up, but no backups or delays out there on the roads just yet.
Elena, thank you. Tyler Trent's life will be remembered once again. The Purdue alum and cancer fighter will be honored with the Stuart Scott Inspire Award next month.
The Sports Humanitarian Awards are put on by ESPN, and this year will be hosted by Sierra. The awards are given to athletes, teams, or individuals who use sports to make a difference. Trent was a well-known Purdue fan, and in his final days fighting cancer, pushed a campaign that helped raise more than $2 million for cancer research.
You guys already have something going for you. You can impress people by saying you were part of the first graduating class from the Urban Act Academy. I realized I should have sought
Good morning, Indiana. Anchor by morning, graduation speaker by day. Our own Meredith Barrick got the chance to speak at graduation for Urban Act Academy 8th graders this week.
RTV6 and our parent company Scripps have partnered with the school all year, spending time with students at book drives and parties. As I got to help celebrate their graduation, the 8th grade class valedictorian had a message of gratitude for her classmates.
I've been with y'all, and this has been one of the greatest years, school years, of my whole 9 years so far of school, and I just want to thank y'all.
A big congratulations to all of those students as they head off to high school this fall.
How did it go yesterday?
It was great. I'm so excited for them. 20 students graduated, the first graduating class from Urban Act. All their families were there to celebrate, and they also brought in some of the younger students to watch.
Oh,
so I think a bit of motivation for those kids that, you know, in a year or two, they will be there. So keep getting good grades, keep doing well. So yeah, it was great.
All right, awesome. You did a good job as well.
Thank you, Todd. If you need a motivational speaker, here I am.
She's pretty good at it. She was practicing yesterday.
Nicole was inspired.
I was all like,
Nicole's ready to graduate 8th grade.
You can do graduations, and I'll just keep doing weddings.
Okay.
So, all right, outside right now, we're dealing with temperatures in the 60s. It's warm, it's muggy. We have a little bit of patchy fog out there, but it's not too big of an issue for us here this morning. Going forward, overall, it's a dry day with mostly cloudy skies, warm and muggy with temperatures back into the low to mid 80s.
Todd, thank you. Still ahead, an animal cruelty investigation is now underway at a popular Indiana tourism attraction. The help the Sheriff's Department needs from the public as they investigate Fair Oaks Farms. It's 5:27. You're watching Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.
Only on RTV6 News.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
75 years ago today, thousands of troops gave their lives on the beaches of Normandy in an event that would change the course of World War II.
This morning, our Aaron Lish is talking to a B-17 crew member about his experience on that historic day in 1944. We will get to his incredible story in just a few moments. Good morning. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. But first, we need to get a check of our forecast for today. Let's get right over to Storm Team 6 meteorologist Todd Clausen.
You know, it's a decent forecast here for the day today in the sense that it's mainly dry for most of us. We do have some minor issues here and there, one of which is visibility here this morning. As you can imagine, with all that rain that we saw yesterday, nothing really to clear all that moisture out. We have visibilities down to a half a mile right now in Kokomo, down to 1 mile in Greenfield. So 1 mile is kind of that threshold. Anything below that is where you run into some issues. But look at from Shelbyville to Rushville, we're down to virtually no visibility. So I-74 as you work your way towards Greensburg and then over into the Rushville, Connorsville area, that's where the visibility is the lowest here this morning. That's where you need to make sure you use the caution. But as far as rain goes, radar is nice and quiet for us for a change here this morning. We are dealing with just mostly cloudy skies. The front lies down to our south. Can I completely rule out the chance of a stray shower flaring up in southern locations today? No. If you do see one of these downpours, it's going to be very light. It's going to be very brief, and it is going to be non-severe. So that is the good news going forward in this forecast. But if I was a betting man, I'd probably bet on most of us staying completely dry throughout the day today. We're in the mid-60s, so it's warm as you walk out the door, and it turns into a warm finish as well. We're near 75 degrees by the noon hour with mostly cloudy skies and eventually high temperatures today, Elena, climbing up into the low 80s.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at Michigan Road on the north side. You can see traffic's beginning to pick up just a bit, but no backups just yet. Let's take a look at the map coming in from the west side on I-74. If you're heading eastbound from State Road 267 to I-465, should only take you 7 minutes, so all's moving along. Should be a breeze as you're making your way on the roads right now. Let's take one last look at the roads. I-65 at I-465 at the south side. You can see rings true over here, and the roads are dry, but if you are heading out on the roadways, just be sure to pay attention to any areas there might be ponding from yesterday's rainfall.
Elena, thank you. President Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron are on the beaches of Normandy this morning to commemorate commemorate D-Day. This is a live look at the remembrance ceremony happening in France right now. 75 years ago today, more than 100,000 Allied troops carried out the biggest amphibious assault in military history. Their actions pushed Nazi forces out of France and changed the course for World War II. Thousands of those Allied troops stormed the shores of Normandy, where they had one job to do.
As we remember those who put their lives on the line, our Aaron Lish is live with a story from one local veteran who was high above the shores of Normandy on that day. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. So an Indianapolis boy, he went here to Arsenal Tech. He was part of the Norden bombsight factory that was top secret here in Indiana. And although he was deferred from World War II, he decided to enlist into the military. And with that, he became a major part of history.
But I was the youngest one on my bomber crew.
This is Bob Pedigo. At only 19 years old, he was an 8th Air Force B-24 Liberator bomb gunner and chief armorer. And on June 6, 1944, he was sent on a mission.
We went inland and bombed a big German encampment.
It was D-Day. They hit their target behind Omaha Beach. Pedigo vividly remembers the channel so full of ships that it looked like stepping stones.
And, of course, you could see the cannon fire coming out of the cannons and the battleships.
More than 5,000 ships and 13,000 planes supported the invasion. It's estimated 10,000 Allied troops were killed, wounded, or missing in action.
That was the main thing. I could see them coming ashore, you know, being shot. Couldn't help have feelings for them, you know.
They were heroes, and Pedigo knew this was a pivotal day in the war.
Getting ready to invade England, we got there just in time to stop him. It made a big difference in the world, stopping Hitler D-Day and freeing up saving England and freeing up the European continent.
And we know just under a year later, the German forces would surrender, and then Japan would follow to end the war. And I was actually talking to Pedigo about his mission book that he still has. He had 30 missions, and he had one specially marked, his 8th one, and that was D-Day. We will have more from him in the next half hour about his briefing commander and who that was. It might surprise you. We'll have that, but for now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Aaron, thank you. Investigators are now looking into allegations of animal cruelty at one of the state's most popular agritourism destinations. We told you about the undercover video captured at Fair Oaks Farms in northwest Indiana. Now the Newton County Sheriff's Office says it's been made aware of the video. They are also asking for the names of those fired by the farm for animal cruelty, as well as any witnesses that failed to report the abuse. The Sheriff's Office says it will work with prosecutors to file charges for animal cruelty for any animal cruelty activity that is uncovered.
Howard County is making changes to better address animal abuse and neglect. County Councilman John Roberts is working with the Kokomo Humane Society to draft new ordinances for care and treatment of animals. The shelter director says they can't confiscate an animal if it has food, water, and shelter, even if that shelter is a cardboard box. A 12-member committee will look at ordinances in other cities like Indianapolis. Indy's ordinance has requirements for shelter, fenced enclosures, tethering, and when to bring an animal inside during extreme weather. Howard County wants to do something similar.
We need to get those things so that we can say, no, these are the boxes you have to check, and you haven't checked them, and then we have to have the ability to take that animal.
While the ordinances are in the works in Howard County and the city of Kokomo, the Humane Society is working to improve its live release rate. It's currently 93%, meaning 93% of animals leave the shelter alive, either through adoption, foster, transfer, or they're reunited with their owner.
A landmark Greenwood business is officially under new ownership months after the store claimed it had already made the change. Records for the Mrs. Curl ice cream shop at the Secretary of State's office no longer have the name of John Casson. Police arrested Casson in April for possession of child pornography. The 75-year-old had owned the ice cream shop since 1997. In a Facebook post that was later deleted, the shop claimed it had transitioned to new ownership in January because of Casson's age and pending retirement. However, Call 6 Investigates found documents filed in February still listed Casson as the principal owner.
Years of battling between the town of Brownsburg and some property owners surrounding an annexation plan is over this morning. This week, the Indiana Supreme Court ruled Brownsburg, quote, did not satisfy its burden of providing it had met the statutory requirements for annexing the disputed territory, end quote. So the city will not be able to annex nearly 4,500 acres of nearby land. It's been trying to do so for more than 5 years.
A scary scene on the highway in Hancock County, a car going the wrong way on I-70. The driver continued for several minutes at least. The Hancock County Sheriff's Department tells RTV6 he was not impaired. When an officer questioned the driver, he said he was going the wrong direction because it was faster. The situation did not cause any crashes. Police arrested the man for reckless driving.
A big traffic project starting next week could impact how you get around the city, especially if you frequent the west side. Our Elena Martella is here to break it all down.
Hey there, Meredith. So the Indianapolis Department of Public Works announcing a resurfacing project on 2 heavily traveled west side roads. Now the project will impact Crawfordsville Road from Cunningham Road to Auburn Street. DPW will also be resurfacing 16th Street from Polko Street to Lafayette Road. You'll still be able to get through both areas, but there will be lane closures and ultimately some backups. The projects are part of a $6.5 million project to pave nearly 20 miles of roads in the Circle City this summer. Both projects kick off on Monday, and I'll help you get around the construction next week here on Good Morning Indiana.
Elena, thank you. An Adams County woman getting quite the scare after 3 deer crashed through her apartment window. Police say the 74-year-old woman was in her Decatur retirement home when the deer crashed through her bedroom window. The woman called 911. When officers arrived, they found the woman trapped on her sofa, her walker knocked over, and 1 deer jumping around the room. Officers say they restrained and removed 1 deer. 2 others trapped in a bathroom were tranquilized and released. The woman wasn't injured, but the deer did some pretty extensive damage to her apartment. It is now 5:39. Let's get over to Todd.
All right, let's walk out the door here this morning. The biggest issue you have to contend with when you take to the roadways is going to be some patchy dense fog. It is the thickest to the south and east of Indianapolis this morning, so be aware of that. We should burn it off pretty quickly once the sun comes up, so it's really probably only an issue through about 9 o'clock here this morning, and then temperatures will start to moderate with mostly cloudy skies to 77 by 11 a.m. But while we deal with the fog, we are dry. That is the good news this morning, just lots of clouds around. But look at all this rain that's down to our south. This is the remnants of a tropical disturbance, and there's a lot of moisture to contend with. Now, a lot of this stays to our south today and tomorrow before it comes to the north for the weekend. As far as today goes, we climb up into the low 80s in many locations with just the chance of a quick passing shower or downpour, but the best chance of that will be south of Indianapolis, and then there's that high this afternoon getting all the way up to 84 degrees.
Todd, thank you. Veterans who use VA services know it can take a while to get an appointment. Straight ahead, the change going into effect today that aims to shorten those wait times.
Plus, this is not rain on the radar in Southern California. It's something far more buggy. After the break, we'll explain what has residents happily staying indoors. Elena.
And here's a look at I-70 at the North Split. You can see everything's moving along just fine for your morning drive without backup or delay. Time now 5:41. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Experience Airwick Essential Mist.
If you're a U.S. veteran who has been waiting for an appointment at a VA hospital, you may have a new option starting today. The Department of Veterans Affairs may allow you to get care at a private facility if you have to wait more than 20 days for an appointment. You used to have to wait 30 days. Congress adopted these changes last year as a way to get vets help vets get treatment faster. Some 8,000 urgent care clinics are also included in this rollout.
Cruise passengers destined for Cuba are on a new course this morning. At midnight, new Trump administration regulations banned U.S. cruise ships from traveling to Cuba. According to Cuban government statistics released in May, nearly 60% of American travelers who visited Cuba in 2019 came aboard cruise ships. A few cruise lines not based in the U.S. will continue to offer Cuba as a destination. President Trump announced plans to restrict U.S. travel to Cuba in April. White House officials say the policy change stems from Cuba's role in supporting U.S. adversaries in places like Venezuela and other political differences.
Well, no, that is not rain on this radar over in San Diego County, California. Tuesday, it was actually a swarm of ladybugs. So many ladybugs are flying around the area. It was picked up on the National Weather Service's radar. The bloom, as it's called, measured about 80 miles wide. While the prospect of seeing a massive collection of bugs flying around might seem terrifying, experts say many people on the ground may not have even noticed anything different. The concentration of ladybugs was spread out over different elevations as they search for food. Todd, this is pretty interesting here.
Yeah, you know, the radar beam starts at, a couple hundred feet off the ground, and then it goes out and it gets higher and higher. So the further you get away from the radar site, the less concentration it has. And so that's why a lot of times with radar and rain too, the further you are away from this radar site, we don't get as much information, but that's why it's measuring those at different levels of the atmosphere. So here in central Indiana, we're dealing with some patchy fog here this morning, which is obviously at ground level, but overall it's a mainly dry day for us today. And then as we get towards the weekend, we'll start to track some storms in. I don't know if the weekend's going to be a washout. I don't think it's going to be a washout, but you may have to alter your plans just a little bit here across the area. So here's the visibility issues that we have right now. It's basically to the east and then southeast of Indianapolis. Not too much of an issue here in downtown. A half-mile visibility in Muncie. As you work your way into the Rushville, Shelbyville, and Greensburg area, visibility is even lower. So radar is nice and quiet here this morning. That's just some ground clutter on the radar site in Indianapolis. So you will have a dry morning commute with just mostly cloudy skies. All the rain right now is down to our south, and it's just some spotty showers through Kentucky, but that front is just close enough here this afternoon that we have to keep some moisture in the forecast. But speaking of moisture, look at all this rainfall that's down to our south. This is the remnants of a weak tropical system that was down in the Gulf of Mexico. It wasn't strong enough to get named, but it's all the tropical moisture. And we're going to get into a piece of that over the course of the weekend. So let's talk about today first, hour by hour on TrueCast. We'll thin the clouds out this morning. We're never going to completely get rid of the cloud cover, but we'll have some sunshine working in at times throughout the day today. And as we get into the peak heating of the day, it's mainly from I-70 to the south that we run just a small chance of an isolated shower or a quick downpour. Nothing that's going to linger very long, nothing to cancel plans over, but just don't be completely shocked if you're in Bloomington, Seymour, Greensburg today, or even into the Columbus area if you get a quick passing shower, and that should be just about it. Here's the view to the north, and you can see a little bit of a break in the cloud cover there as the sky starts to brighten. The temperature sits at 66 degrees. The wind is calm, but the dew point's in the mid-60s. That's uncomfortable here across the area, and you'll notice that humidity as soon as you walk out the door. And everybody's within just a couple degrees of each other temperature-wise this morning, so that's not much of a factor for us. So throughout the day today, we'll get back up into the low to mid-80s. So it's a warm day for us. It's a muggy day. So if you have a workout planned outside, you're going to work up that sweat pretty quickly throughout the day today, with just the chance of that spotty storm in southern locations during the peak heating of the day. Now tomorrow, essentially a dry day for us, very similar to today, partly sunny skies, temperatures climbing up into the low 80s once again, and Friday storm chances once again will be down to the south. As I put this in motion, you notice the further north you are, you actually get into a decent amount of sunshine tomorrow, but those showers keep running right along the Ohio River, so maybe a few of them could sneak up into southern locations again tomorrow, but overall Friday is another dry day for us. And then as we get into the weekend, the storms become a little more numerous. Saturday and Sunday, temperatures are still in the 80s, but neither day is a washout. So again, don't cancel plans because you think it's going to rain all day. It's probably not the brightest weekend for us, but there will be showers and storms both days with temperatures in the 80s. Then next week, high temperatures return back into the 70s. Elena.
All right, thank you, Todd. Not much is happening out there on the roadways right now. If you're coming in from the east side, heading westbound on I-70 from Post Road over to I-65, it should only take you 10 minutes, so all's moving along just fine for your morning drive. Let's take a look at this stretch right now. Here's I-70 at Arlington Avenue over on the east side. You can see everything's moving along just fine right now. Those roads are dry for your morning drive, but if you are heading out on the roadways, be sure to pay attention to any areas. There could still be some leftover ponding or high water from yesterday's storms.
Elena, thank you. Ohio is not happy, and this is the reason why. Next on the Trending 6, why some in the Buckeye State are complaining about an honest-to-goodness Indiana candle. It's 5:50. We'll be right back.
The side of food.
Before you head out the door, it's time for the Trending 6.
These are some of the stories that everyone is sharing online and you'll want to know about. Steph Curry played the game of his life with 47 points, but he couldn't carry the shorthanded Golden State Warriors to a win. Golden State already out without Kevin Durant last night. Klay Thompson didn't play as well due to an injured hamstring. The Raptors picked up a huge road win, 123-109, to take a 2-1 lead in the finals. I can't read.
The win helped make up for a social media faux pas for the Raptors. Earlier on Wednesday, Toronto's Twitter account posted this picture. It shows the team on the Golden Gate Bridge and says, "Crossed the bridge, ready for battle." The only problem is you cross the Bay Bridge to get to the Warriors' home in Oakland, not the Golden Gate Bridge. In the end, though, the Raptors had the last laugh.
Older sports fans know that Tom Terrific is Tom Seaver, the Baseball Hall of Famer and one of the best pitchers ever to play the game. That's why fans of the Mets and Reds are not happy with Tom Brady right now. Brady recently tried to register a trademark as Tom Terrific. Mets fans showed their displeasure over it all at a New York restaurant. They took turns throwing Boston beans at a Tom Brady poster and jersey.
A Mississippi couple celebrated becoming empty nesters with a hilarious photo shoot. We'll file this one under parent goals. Amy and Randy English's last child, Haley, moved out of their house recently, and clearly they're not too broken up about it. It was her mom's idea, but Jones is hoping the pictures will boost her budding photography career.
Sorry, parents, you can't escape it. Baby Shark is going to be a cartoon on Nickelodeon. Baby Shark became a breakout when it launched on YouTube in November of 2015. Since then, it's gotten nearly 3 billion views and recorded a 20-week streak on the Billboard Hot 100.
This isn't making some folks in Ohio happy. A Fort Wayne company called Simple Nature is selling this. The company describes its Ohio candle this way: not much to see, not much to do. Welcome to Ohio, the unscented candle. Well, that set off Lydia Mihalik, who directs Ohio's tourism agency. She went on a 13-tweet storm. What? Outlining a tweet storm with 13 tweets, I guess, outlining what she said were all of the wonderful things you can smell in Ohio. I would put Skyline chili at the top of the list.
Buttered sweet corn. What did Elena say?
Graters. Elena said graters.
Okay. Don't know what
you
that
could
is.
do Buckeyes, as in the chocolate and peanut butter little treats. Have you ever had one of those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan Geist Brewery.
Yeah. Oh,
man.
Todd, you're speaking my language.
I think we need to start an Ohio candle company here.
It's got a little sensitive over there on the state lines. It's like when the Ohio State Buckeyes lose. They never lose. There's always a reason. They got, you know, the refs blew it for them. There was an injury. You know, that's how it goes. All right, outside right now, we're with temperatures in the mid-60s. There's some patchy fog, but at least radar is nice and quiet for us here this morning. That is the good news. All those storms from yesterday are gone. If you're in southern locations where you saw up to 4 inches of rain, just know that there could be a little bit of standing water in spots. Otherwise today, mostly cloudy, but the clouds will break for some sunshine, warm and muggy, and just a very, very small chance of a stray storm to the south and a high temperature of 84 degrees.
Todd, thank you. A recent string of garage break-ins has police issuing a warning. Ahead at 6 o'clock, the elaborate steps crooks are taking to get inside secured garages.
And as we head to break, here's a live look as the sun rises over the Circle City. Stick with us. Good Morning Indiana continues in just 2 minutes.